Kelly is an addict and she cannot stop.
I can't keep doing this.
She gets clean for a minute and she goes right back out.
Kelly's drug of choice is heroin.
I'm using heroin every day. As soon as I wake up, I have to get high.
Kelly drinks, does heroin, takes Xanax, she smokes pot.
For Kelly, it's normal, but for me, it's very shocking. In high school, Kelly was always the prettiest girl. Everybody loved her. I had no idea Kelly was using drugs until 3 or 4 years later.
When Kelly was 17, I got a phone call from the school. They said, your daughter's been taking pills and drinking alcohol. You need to take her to the hospital and they may need to pump her stomach.
I've overdosed 8 times at least that I remember. I have track marks from veins blowing out.
Kelly always tells me, you'll never understand. To me, I'm just like, why can't you just stop right now? And she'll tell me, I want to.
Kelly has been abused, raped, kidnapped. She's been held against her will. I believe Kelly has addiction because of buried secrets she has about her father.
I think Kelly's gonna die before we know it.
Kelly needs to come clean with her traumas to get clean.
Okay. Now, let's talk about what we can agree on first, all right? We certainly agree that Kelly is in a bad way addiction-wise, right?
Right.
Yes.
She's been to 20-plus rehabs?
I've lost count, but it's close to 20.
Yeah. If it's never really had any traction with her at all, why do you suppose that is?
I feel like it's because of all the trauma she's been through, and she's never addressed her trauma. She's never faced her trauma or dealt with it.
What do you think?
Well, when I've talked to Kelly after she's left a treatment center, she's using that day.
Who hypnotized her?
Just some psychologist that someone gave us the name of, just to try to draw this out of her.
Some psychologist. Was this
I
a
don't know his
board
name.
certified and licensed professional? Was this a trained hypnotherapist? Was this
He
someone
was.
that knew what they were doing? Were they licensed
They were licensed. It was,
in hypnotherapy?
yes,
She says she started using real early in her life, like 9 years old.
yes.
And you raised her pretty much as a single parent until she was 7.
She was a little over 8. Yeah.
And then you took her to her dad some.
When she turned 7, her dad started calling her and wanted visitation.
And you allowed that?
I allowed that.
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that's when you
That's
started
when
having, he
yeah.
started having access to her.
Yes, sir.
In retrospect, was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Very bad thing.
Okay, and you know that now, but you didn't know that then.
That's right. I didn't have a good feeling about it at all, but everyone around me, everyone I talked to about it, said that's her father. She needs to have a relationship with her father.
That he was smoking dope, that he was drinking, and she saw him doing that, so she said, I'll try it. She started experimenting with alcohol and marijuana, and that she first shot something in her veins at age, 9, 10, 11, very young.
She never told me the age.
Yeah, she told us that she did it with him, not with him, but at his place, using his drugs at a very young age.
I had no idea. She was a master of disguise, a master.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Yeah.
Which I feel like she still is, because a lot of the times when I've seen her in person, I don't know.
Well, she was doing
wouldn't
meth
even
at
know.
12. She says she was doing meth at 12. Nobody noticed a 12-year-old meth head? How is this possible? And no adult in her life said, that kid's on meth.
She was going to counseling, therapy, psychologist, psychiatrist from the age of 7 on.
She says you put her in institutions 4 or 5 times when she was growing up, that you wanted them to raise her instead of you.
No.
I'm just telling you what she said.
Right.
I wouldn't know.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what she said.
When she was 7, she was in 1st grade. The school called me and told me she picked up a chair, threw it across the room. at the kids. So I went to the school and I got her, talked to the principal. I took her to my doctor. He suggested go to a psychiatrist. I went to a psychiatrist. They said put her in the psychiatric ward at Cook's Children's Hospital. And so that's
Because
what I
she threw a
did.
chair.
She threw a chair across the room.
And you institutionalized her because she threw a chair?
The doctors had me put her in the hospital.
Well, I know,
Where
but
they
you're a
put-
mother. The
Right.
doctors can't put her in. You have to put her in.
Well, if she's throwing a chair, she's so angry, I don't know where this anger is coming from.
How many times did you institutionalize her?
Once, twice, three, probably 4 psychiatric different locations.
While she
hospitals.
was what age? Between 7 and what?
13, 14.
Okay, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In that age, she was put in psychiatric ward 4 or 5 times. She says 4 or 5, you say 4.
What am I supposed to do? I mean, I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know what to do to help her. That's what I need from you. I need your help. And they just kept putting her on medication.
Is this part of the trauma that you think she needs to resolve?
Yes.
Do you think you traumatized her by institutionalizing her at a young age?
It seems from her version, yes, she feels traumatized from that. I did not know what to do with an out-of-control child. Kelly became an angry child at the age of 7, just after she started her visitation with her father. She would throw things, yell, argue with the teacher, argue with me. I sent her to the psychiatric hospital because she was so angry, but it never helped. I believe Kelly's anger is still present to this day.
Dr. Phil has to know how bad it is to know how he can help me. How's anybody gonna help me if they don't know what the real problem is?
I've been struggling with addiction since I was 8 years old. I began to see my dad again. I saw that he was drinking, smoking pot, so I started stealing his pot and experimenting with pot and alcohol. 12 years old is the first time I ever shot anything into my veins.
This is where it stops tonight, but where does it stop tomorrow?
My mom never really suspected anything. I was always either at some kind of practice or with a friend, quote unquote, studying. Growing up in 2 different environments, I used drugs to kind of escape that pain of how bad they hated each other. Over at my dad's, he would get so drunk and stoned that he couldn't deal with me. When my mom couldn't handle me and my anger, she would send me away to mental institutions. It wasn't hard for me to go straight to the heroin. That was the drug that was for me. In my 20s, I was sex trafficked. I almost died from sepsis twice. One time, my mom had taken me to the hospital. She had gone to get lunch, and when she came back, I was dead on the table. The doctors brought me back to life. I mean, like, what mom wants to watch her child die on the table? Dr. Phil is my last hope. I either take his advice or I die.
Have a seat. Well, Kelly, how are you feeling today?
I'm okay. I'm a little nervous. I'm surprised, but super grateful I'm here.
Tell me about your pattern of heroin use in the last couple of weeks.
The last couple of weeks, I've actually been in a detox facility. As soon as I got out, the day I got out, I was shooting heroin again. So, I mean, before that, before the detox facility, I actually overdosed twice within 5 days of each other.
What happened?
The paramedics came in and they had to Narcan me twice because I wasn't waking up from the first dose.
And where were you?
It was like an abandoned tire shop that I was in.
How did they find you?
I have no idea. I mean, I woke up to the paramedics. I guess the guy that I was with had called 911.
That was the first time. You
That was
said
the first time. And then 5 days later, I overdosed again.
Okay, so twice in 5 days, you shot up enough heroin to kill you if someone hadn't intervened.
Correct.
And where are you getting the money to buy this with?
You know, that's one thing that I don't know how I've managed, is I've never needed money to get the heroin that I needed. They see me coming and they're pretty much like, well, she's gonna spend money eventually, so we'll just give it to her now.
When they don't give it to you, how do you buy it? How do you get money?
I either groom dogs, I mean, on the side. I'm a dog groomer, so I'm kind of like an entrepreneur. Like, I always mow a lawn or do something, you know, to earn money. I've pawned my guitar I don't know how many times. I've slept with men, I've slept with women to get heroin.
So do you care if you die?
Absolutely, I do. I wouldn't be here if I wanted to die. Dr. Phil.
Well, you've been to rehab, you said 20 times, and
Probably, at
and
least.
it doesn't. And you start using immediately when you get out. Why do you go? What's the point in going to rehab?
I don't know. You know, I don't have an excuse for that. I don't understand it.
A few years after the alleged abuse allegations against her father were made by Kelly, I came across the journals that Kelly had been writing in and the secrets she had been hiding. It was horrific. They haunted me. I had nightmares for years. I did get rid of the journals, but I will never forget the words I read. When Kelly was 17 years old, she confessed to a counselor that she had been abused by her father sexually. I was stunned, shocked.
When I was in early teens, my mom felt it necessary to take me to a hypnotherapist. All I remember is asking me questions about my dad. I don't even remember saying that my dad sexually abused me while I was in there. I just know that when I was done and I came out, there were, you know, people that wanted to talk to me about my dad sexually abusing me, and I was very confused.
There was an investigation. The district attorney asked her, "Can you tell me your father did not do this to you?" She said, "No, I can't."
Yes, there were times where my dad would be in his underwear, and I thought that was a little weird, but that's about the extent of the memory I have of anything inappropriate that my dad did around me.
She told the DA she would not go in front of her dad and testify.
My mom believes that I keep denying the fact that my dad abused me. I don't believe that one bit, never have, never will.
Okay, Kelly, we're kind of down to the nitty-gritty here. I mean, it's time to just put it all out on the table, and I don't have a vested interest in this one way or the other. Did your father molest you, or did he not?
I have no memory of that. I don't even remember that period of time where my mom is talking to the DA and all these other people. I don't even remember doing that in itself. I don't know if maybe I've just blocked it out. I don't know if there are some deeper rooted issues that I need to, look at. I just know that I need direction because I can't keep living like this. Like, I don't want to die from this disease. I don't want to continue using heroin because I can't figure out what's really going on with me. It scares me, Dr. Phil. It scares the crap out of me, and I'm desperate here for answers. I have no idea what to do from here, but my white flag is up. I don't know what else to do. I don't know where else to go. I don't know who else to talk to. I don't, that's why I was very adamant on saying how many treatment centers I've been to, because I don't know what will work.
Well, your mother seems to be all in on the fact that you have this unresolved trauma in your life and that you're doing drugs because you're self-medicating. Right? And that the big trauma is that you were molested by your father. You said it happened, and you said it didn't happen. So you've told the story both ways. And I'm just wanting to get that on or off the table.
I really don't remember it.
Because I personally don't think that has anything to do with why you're doing drugs. I think I know why you're doing drugs, and I'm happy to tell you why.
Yes.
When I was 18 years old, I was pregnant. When I told my mom, she didn't want anything to do with my pregnancy or me.
I was very, very angry.
I went through the adoption because I didn't know what else to do.
I mentioned adoption. I didn't force her into the adoption.
I wanted to keep my son.
I assumed Kelly was clean through most of her pregnancy until the very end.
The day before I got induced, I ended up doing cocaine. So when he was born, he did have cocaine in his system. That should have been motivation enough for me to stop using, and it wasn't.
Well, Sandy says her daughter Kelly has been in crisis mode most of her life and pushes away anyone and anything that's good in her life. Sandy says she believes Kelly's traumas will continue to feed her addiction until she's ready to face all of them head on. Now, that's your theory about this. You're her best friend. What's your theory about all this?
I just don't think she cares. I don't know how she's alive today. I tell her all the time.
Do you have a theory?
I mean, that makes sense. You would think that, you know, finding purpose is what we all try to do. I don't think I ever felt like I had a purpose anywhere. You know, I've learned to play the victim so well and manipulate, you know, my way through this life, and I don't know how I'm alive.
Well, I said that I felt like I know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, and that I would tell you in no uncertain terms. And I think the reason that you do heroin the way you do is because you are a heroin addict. That's what you do. That's who you are. You do heroin today because you did heroin yesterday, and you did heroin yesterday because you did heroin the day before. And lazy people take the line of least resistance. And you are a lazy, unmotivated person that just gets up and does today what you did yesterday because it's the line of least resistance. It's what you've done for the last 1,000 days of your life. You got momentum, and you've been doing it day after day after day after day after day after day. So it doesn't take a genius to predict what you're going to do tomorrow. Look, things often begin for one reason and continue for a whole separate set of reasons. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Do you think there's a heroin addict on the planet that started doing heroin for the same reason they're doing it a year later?
No.
Maybe you started it then because you didn't want to deal with the fact that your mother and father acted like teenagers, hating each other and dogging on each other all the time, yap, 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 and you got tired of listening to it. I don't know. Maybe you did it because somebody rejected you and you hated that and you hated yourself. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because it has nothing to do with why you're doing it today. You're doing it today because you did it yesterday. And you're going to do it tomorrow unless something dramatic happens to change the momentum in your life. It's that simple. You can talk about all of this. Did her dad molest her or did he not or whatever? And if that's happened in your life, are you going to need to deal with that at some point? Yeah. If you want to have peace in your life, you're going to need to deal with that at some point. But that is not a requisite to getting off heroin. It just simply isn't. If you tried to raise her through institutions and she is secretly hugely pissed off that you dumped her on institutions instead of mothering her in the way a mother should mother her, and she's going to hate you for the rest of her life for doing that to her because she threw a chair when she was 7, then yeah, she's going to have to deal with that at some point. But that is not why she did heroin last week twice to the point of overdosing. So you get off the hook. That's not your fault. Did you screw up as a mother? We don't have enough time for me to tell you how you probably screwed up as a mother. but I suspect you probably did the best you knew with what you had at the time.
Can you tell me where her anger is coming from?
Does it matter? Why do you care? Are you here to do an anger seminar, or are you here to save her life?
I'm here to save her life.
Then let's not worry about the anger right now, because it has absolutely nothing to do with why she's doing heroin. You see, that's my point. That's my point. Everybody wants to be Sigmund Freud and figure out, well, what about her anger? Well, what about this molestation? What about this? What about that? What about this? Has nothing to do with why she's doing heroin. Be happy to discuss that with you someday. But it has nothing to do with whether she's going to kill herself tomorrow or not.
My dad died from alcoholism. He had liver failure.
When I spoke with Kelly, she seemed extremely upset. I told her I thought it should have been a relief now that he is gone.
Kelly was in detox when her dad passed away. She bolted and she ran.
I probably got more messed up in that week than I have in about 2 years.
I told her she's going to die, just like him.
I went straight from the funeral back to the treatment center.
You know, there's something that I know for sure. A lot of things I don't know for sure. There's some things I do know for sure. And, you know, I can pick any member of this audience or this virtual audience, and I can follow them around for half a day. And I can not say one word to them, just follow them around and watch their life. I can watch how they dress. I can watch how they walk. I can watch how they behave. I can watch how they interact with other people. I can watch how they treat themselves. And I can tell what they think they deserve without ever talking to them. And I can tell that because people generate the results in life they think they deserve. You are in a gutted, empty building because that's what you think you deserve. You have generated, you're not going to find me in some building somewhere, abandoned building on some concrete floor with a needle hanging out of my arm, because I think I deserve better than that. So you're not going to find me there. Now, you might find me down at the Four Seasons or the Ritz or somewhere, because that's what I think I deserve. But you're not going to find me at some abandoned building somewhere, because I don't think that's what I deserve. I'm going to generate the results in life I think I deserve. Just like you do, and just like you do, and 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 you do. We all generate the results in life we think we deserve, and that's what you're doing. And you have decided that you believe you deserve to shoot up heroin until you die. That's what you've convinced yourself of. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're some worthless human being, and I don't know. You've convinced yourself of that. Maybe you think I gave my child up for adoption, I don't deserve to live. I don't know. Maybe that's your criteria. Maybe